guys, it's me, Double D, with another episode of Pikmin 2. Last time, we rescued Louie, took down the Titan Dweevil, and collected all the treasures, and everybody is happy! At least for now, anyway. So, here we are at the bonus episode to go over some extra stuff that I could fit into this episode. Except for ones that are probably going to have its own video, but that's beside the point. Anyway, so, first things first, the Piklopedia. So, there were a couple of things on the Piklopedia that I have failed to go over, well, in terms of controls. So, first off, the camera. It kind of sucks when you have to look at an enemy from behind like that, like this hairy bulb over there. Well, so, remember, I'm assuming you were playing the Wii version, so the Gamecube version could be completely different. So, if you press and hold the Z button on the nunchuck and with the control stick, you can actually rotate the camera. So this will help you see enemies or treasures at different angles. You probably will have noticed this in the end slates if you have been actively watching those. So now, other things too is, of course, what happens if you press 2 or 1? Well, nothing happens if you press 2, but for 1, all the enemies here will be petrified as if you use the Ultra Bitter Spray. So yeah, if you've been wondering what happens if you petrify a certain enemy, well, this is a good place to do so. Of course, not all enemies can be petrified, and the best part is, it does not consume any Ultra Bitter Sprays that you have. Which is neat, because if it did, then that would be stupid. Anyway, so, on to the treasure hoard. As you can see, we have collected a lot of treasures. In fact, 201 treasures to be exact. However, we are playing the US version of Pikmin 2, so if you're a European or Japanese viewer watching this game and want to play along, chances are some of the treasures you see here are not going to be in your copy if you're playing the European or Japanese version. For example, the Survival Ointment and the Healing Cask. This is only available in the US version. In fact, I have a lot of treasures to go over about the differences in regions. And trust me, there are a lot. So sit tight, and I'm gonna explain the regional differences in treasures. First, I'm going to show you all of the treasures you can only find in the US version of the game, which is what this Let's Play is done on. I should also point out that the Survival series is only found in the US version of, well, Pikmin 2. This is one instance of a series that's exclusive to a region, and there's going to be a lot more instances of that. Next up, there are 4 treasures you can only find in the European version of the game. All the ones you see here are of the Massive Receptacle series. I should note that the treasure called the Perfect Container, as that looks very familiar. We'll get into that in a little bit. Next, the following treasures exist in the US and European versions of the game, but not in the Japanese versions. Note the fact that the entire Mystical Energy series is in this list, which brings us to the treasures only found in the Japanese version. The Japanese exclusive treasures are a bit of a special case. First off, here are a list of treasures that I won't go into specifics about. Now, remember when I said, well, a few seconds ago that the Mystical Energy series is exclusive to Europe and America? That's only partly true. Japan has this series too. But not only are the treasures completely different in the brand that they're promoting and the names are different, but the Japanese version has 6 treasures in the Mystical Energy series as opposed to the 4 in the America and European versions got. And guess what? That's not all! Japan also has an entire series exclusive only to the Japanese version of Pikmin 2. Meet the Disc Mystery series. These treasures are covers of various brands of milk that's popular in Japan. Of course, they're exclusive to the Japanese version, probably because none of these brands are represented here very well or known internationally. And of course, we conclude the region exclusivity with treasures in the European and Japanese versions, but not in the US versions. And now we're going to be going into some weird waters. Considering we're dealing with product placement in Pikmin 2, some treasures are going to be different according to regions. First, we have treasures that are named differently in each region. First off, the Broken Food Master is known as a divine cooking tool in Europe and Japan. And remember when I said that the Perfect Container should look familiar? That it's because it's the same item as the Endless Repository, just named differently. The same goes for the Stringent Container, but that is also an odd case as well. Before we get into our next topic, I'd like to give special attention to the Activity Arouser. In the US version, these belong to the Ancient Ad series, but in the European version, it's the Odd Logo series. The Activity Arouser has a bit of an explanation we'll get into later, because the next topic is change appearances. First off, a lot of the Odd Logo series have different brands to represent the US and European versions. This is why the Activity Arouser is in a different series depending on what version you're playing. But it's not the Odd Logo series that has this differentiation. These treasures use different labels. but are the same item in principle. The treasures, on the other hand, are significantly different in appearances and items between versions. I would also like to specifically make special mentions to certain treasures. Remember when I said I commented about the arboreal frippery looks like a certain leaf, but it's actually a Japanese maple leaf? I think the Japanese devs knew its shape, as the treasure hoard describes the ultimate drug and warns not to overdose, as it will cause death. Olimar says he wants to try it someday. Its Japanese title even translates to one-hit kill. Of course, I think the European version knew about this too, because they changed it to a red maple leaf. Last but not least, the silencer. The difference here is the Poko value. In the European version, it's 670 Pokos. Japan, 666 Pokos. I'm sure you can figure out why they changed the Poko count. And with that, that is every single regional difference for the treasures. And now that we're back at the main menu, well, the world map. So, there is something else to go on about Pikmin 2. After you collected all the treasures, you're pretty much free to go wherever you want. Look at that day count in the lower corner over there. It says day 31. We completed it at day 20-ish, because I forgot the day. But point is, you can now go on forever, beyond day 30, which unlike in Pikmin 1, where your limit is day 30. In fact, it can go up to 301 days, or at least the counter. It can essentially go on forever. But that's not why we're here. So, certain things happen after a certain days. As far as I know, the Valley of Repose and the Awakening Wood do not have that stuff aside from more powerful enemies or upgraded pellet posies. The ones that are significant are the Perplexing Pool and the Wistful Wild. Specifically the Wistful Wild. We're going to be going there first to see what happens after 30 days. So, the Wistful Wild doesn't look that different now because, well, aside from respawned enemies. So, I'm gonna have to take out all my, actually I'm gonna have to take out the White Pikmin because they move faster. I don't have to worry about them lagging behind. And of course, 45 is, oh screw it, I'm just gonna take Reds too. Because they're combat oriented. Okay, well, Purples are more combat oriented, but they move so slow. And in fact, considering that they're leaves, this is probably good for what we're gonna be doing here. So, in the Wistful Wild, this event happens every 30 days starting from day 1. And you cannot access it on day 1, of course, because you can't access the Wistful Wild in day 1 unless you use hacking. But something interesting happens in the Wistful Wild every 30 days starting from day 1. So you will get this on day 31, and then 61, and then 91. You get the picture. Basically, if it's a multiple 3 with the 1 on the end, that's when you'll see what we're going to be going to today. So, we're going to be heading towards the Hole of Heroes, because that is where our first stop is. As soon as we get past all these enemies that have respawned. Okay, so we had some casualties on the way, not that it'll matter considering we're at the end of the game. So, you see those little bugs over there by the Hole of Heroes? Those are enemies known as Ujadani. So yeah, Ujadani don't have an entry in the Piclopedia, but these small enemies show up every 30 days after day 1. So, what happens if you approach a White Pikmin? They'll just attack them as if they're doing rubble, and look at all those blobs! Yeah, nectar, potions, you name it. Everything you need is there. However, I gotta stop the animation because something interesting happens. Okay, maybe I gotta collect these, but yeah. Look at all these blobs! Nectar, potions, and nectar galore. I think I said nectar twice, but who cares? But yeah. So yeah, this is your basically your reward for playing for this long. Or your punishment, because that just basically means that you suck and you've been taking way too long on it. But yeah, Ujadani are great for collecting some things. So yeah, if you somehow make it to day 31 every single day, well, now's your time to get some Ujadani, because they drop some awesome stuff, like some nectar. Of course, here's a little bit of a drawback. So, there's a lot of blobs of potions and nectar and stuff. The game actually has a limit of how many can be spawned in the level at a time. So you're gonna have to be careful and make sure you come in with as many leaves as possible, because well, it's gonna be bad for everyone. You won't get any potions if there is way too many blobs, so come in with leaves so you can be able to make the most of it. So, as you notice here, I came in with White Pikmin. However, I want to see what happens if you came in with reds. Okay, I'll let the whites come along. So yeah, there's also Withering Blowhog over there. There are 2 spots where the Ujidani will spawn. That is the 2nd spot over there. So yeah, let's see what happens if you can't attack with White Pikmin. Yeah, see? Some of them got poisoned. The Ujidani will poison any non-white Pikmin that are attacking him. So you want to bring in all your best whites so you can be able to well, take down the Ujidani with no problems. That red over there is not being poisoned yet, but it's possible that they're gonna... See, yeah, that red over there is poison, and I gotta take down that Withering Blowhog. Actually, no! If you want to get all the ones you can use the Withering Blowhog to deflower your Pikmin, so you don't have to worry about it being overloaded with blobs, and you can get all the nectar you want. Sweet, sweet nectar. Yeah. Okay, and that's all the Ujidani. No, there's one more Ujidani, but yeah. That's all there is about Ujidani. This is a bit of a major change if you play long enough for Pikmin 2. However, there's also one more thing in the Wistful Wild, and that's in the Dream Den. I'm gonna meet you in the Dream Den after we collect all these blobs. Seriously, look at how much potions we're having. Here we are at level 14 of the Dream Den. I can't talk today. But yeah, so, as you know, we can replay bosses at the dungeon whenever we want. However, the Titan Dweevil is a bit of a special case. As you know, it had a lot of weapons on him when we first fought it. However, if you fight the Titan Dweevil again, he is basically harmless. Yeah, the Titan Dweevil will carry over what state he's in whenever you leave the Dream Den. So basically, you can just break him off one at a time and then leave to regroup. That's pretty much all there is to it for the Titan Dweevil. So yeah, you can pretty much leave the dungeon and then regroup. It's not even that bad to regroup either because the shock therapist is gone. Of course, it's more efficient to just take it on right here and right now, but it's better to do that so you can just take some treasure right at the ship before leaving, and then the next time you face the Titan Dweevil, it won't have that tool anymore. So yeah, it pays to have a repeat playthrough of the Titan Dweevil. And speaking of which, I want to do something in particular. If you petrify it and then defeat it in a petrified state, I just hope I could be able to defeat it right here, right now. And there we go! It drops loads and loads of potions. So if you are impatient with the Ujidani but want to grind up on potions for whatever reason, you can do that. Of course, this is assuming that you decided to take on the Titan Dweevil first. Because I know some people want to take on the whole of Heroes first. But anyway, so that's all there is in the Titan Dweevil and the Dream Den in general. The Wistful Wild in general. But the whole 30 days thing also applies to the Perplexing Pool. So we might as well go there right now. So here we are, back at the Perplexing Pool. So, the changes that took place over time are in terms of enemies. So as you know, enemies have respawned at the Perplexing Pool, considering it's been a long time since we've been here. But something major to note is that if you go up in front of camp, Beady Longlegs is here. Beady Longlegs will start appearing in the Perplexing Pool after day 30. So if you go this long, it's worth your time to go to the Perplexing Pool just for this. I'm gonna go defeat him as usual because the reward for defeating him here, as opposed to the key back at the Citadel of Spiders, is just nectar up for a little bit and defeat him like we did in the original run. She's not really that hard anymore, and your reward is pellets. Lots of pellets. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. Another thing of note is that there's another enemy somewhere here that you can normally find in caves, but is here. In fact, there we are. Yeah, spotted bull bears. You can pretty much find bull bears in general dwarf bull bears. I think day 14. But yeah, you will find spotted bull bears after day 30. So And as you know, you have to take the corpse back. This is also pretty much proof that this and the Perplex and the Distant Spring from the original Pikmin game are indeed the same area. Anyway, so I'm gonna go to Sunset right here and go over the one last feature of the episode. Right after we defeat this swooping snitch bug. There we go, he is dead. Because the last thing I want to go over for this episode is, well, something to do with the results screen. In fact, if we could get to it. Mail time! I love you! Don't keep me waiting any longer! Please come home! I've made a ton of your favorite soup, and it's here waiting for you! P.S. Bring souvenirs! Well, if we go over to yesterday's mail, it's the exact same email. And day 30, again. 29, again. Again on 28. And there we go, yeah. There is a special property of email. Emails come in specific milestones, and there's a set of emails for each milestone, depending on where you are. So, like, collect a certain amount of Pokos, rescue Louie, get all the treasures and all that stuff. But yeah, also spam. But yeah, every time you, well, you finish a set but have not gone past a certain milestone, it will repeat the last letter of that set over and over again until you reach that milestone that changes it. Of course, if you get the ones that are gotten when you... No, are gotten what? No. Of course, if you get the ones that will appear when you collect all the treasures, the last email is going to be this for the rest of your time playing through this game. So be prepared to read through some boring ones from Olimar's wife. And a lot of these emails do have a story to tell, so I'm just going to go over all the emails you get at certain milestones and their sets, because trust me, the stories they tell are really, really funny. This first set of mail expires once you get over 3,000 Pokos, which you can easily get very quickly. Basically, it's the president badgering you about how the company's doing, not having faith in Olimar, and Olimar's wife basically being pissed at Olimar for leaving the children and her worried. After this one, this next set expires after 5,000 Pokos. The president reveals that he got a loan from the loan sharks instead of some happy loan, which he brought it on himself really, and he is pretty much at high risk, and Olimar's wife is trying to make money as well, to no avail. This next set expires after 8,000 Pokos. Basically, the president goes into hiding so the loan sharks can't find him, which sounds pretty clever. Also, back at home, Olimar's wife happens to find some money hidden in Olimar's, well, room. And there seems to be a little bit of favoritism going on in Olimar's family, at least from his wife's side, and you can pretty much guess which child is the favorite. This next set pretty much happens until you fully repay the debt. Basically, the president is offering to promote Olimar to manager, and he is still hiding from the loan sharks. If you take too long, which of course is probably going to be likely if you manage your time poorly, he will be caught and be taken hostage. And by the looks of it, he's willing to sell Olimar out just to live. What an ungrateful president. No wonder Olimar sounds resentful in Pikmin 3. After the debt is repaid, everything gets somewhat better. The president's wife gets angry. Of course she does. Olimar's family gets the bonus, and his wife starts spoiling the kids. There's also the start of those weird spam emails that we've been getting, which I am convinced is just filler. Oh, and Louie's grandmother is looking for Louie, and she is very worried. This next set you will most likely miss if you decide to go for the Titan Dweevil last. Yeah, this is one set that you probably will never get if you decide to rescue Louie last, as you could only get this one if you rescued Louie, but you didn't collect all the treasures. It's a shame that nobody will ever find this set of emails, because this really tells a story. Basically, Olimar's wife starts living the rich family life, to the point where she starts using the money to do whatever the heck she wants, and the kids are being forced to study at a prep school, so she can have a lot of fun. I think it's safe to say that the kids don't want any of that and want things to go back to the way they were. Fortunately, the kids do get what they want, because you get this next set after, well, you collect all the treasures. Basically, the president's wife is still as bossy as ever. Olimar's family goes back to normal, at least relatively normal, when his wife reveals that she spent it on lottery tickets and now the family is practically broke. Overall, it's a relatively happy ending. Or rather, it's, well, normal in Olimar's family standards. And that's all the extra stuff that I intend to go over in, well, Pikmin 2. Well, not all the extra stuff. So, what are we going to be going over in the next episode? Well, if we return to the title screen, as you know by collecting the key at the Citadel of Spiders, you will unlock Challenge Mode. And that's where the next bonus episode will be. Next time on Pikmin 2, we're going to be taking a look at the intricacies of Challenge Mode. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!